All right, we're live. We're live. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We are back. I know it's been a while, honey. I know it's been a while, but y'all know what we always let y'all know that we real people with real lives. Mink been out, on the forefront of the revolution. We ain't been able to, we've been just kind of putting together our bail money, making sure we was ready. So when Angry Man, I thought
I was gonna have to do shows and dedication to make for bail.
Right, we was gonna have to do shows. Face was gonna have to do a whole DJ set, and the money go towards the free mink, fund and all that good stuff. So, okay, I think you're sideways, Ghost. You're sideways. Okay, there you go. You ready? Let me know when you're ready, and I'll bring you on.
Hey, baby, say hello, baby.
Huh?
Who said? Blessed with no shirt. Wait, on a Sunday afternoon? How y'all feel already?
You know what? Ooh, you done got the people. See, you done got the people started. So first of all, I want to just say welcome everybody. As you can see, with YouTube, I have to be careful about my title. I have to be careful about what we saying because y'all know we ain't gonna go down that road. But so I didn't want to say too much, in the title. But you know what we're here to talk about. We're gonna talk about what's going on. We're gonna talk about how did we get here, the conversation, what is it that we want. Introductions, as you guys know, I'll go down the list.
Yeah.
Faith, Faith the music. He blessed us with that good happy hour on Friday night that I heard lasting until the wee hours, honey. I heard y'all was still playing music till 11 o'clock. What time did y'all finally shut that thing down?
I have no idea. Okay. I know. I think it stopped around the time when my Jack Daniels got low. Whatever time that was.
Well, that's usually when the party's over.
I was like, whoo, I had to last call on myself.
Last call on yourself, honey. Well, you had your partner in crime there with you. Actually, you had both your partners in crime there with you. So, the three of y'all get together. It's never good. It's never good news. Mink, how you doing down there, babe? How you doing down in your neck of the woods, literally?
She got street lights. Don't do that. Don't do it like that. She got street lights and everything.
I'm good. I've been out here in the streets trying to get my protest on. I'm looking for a new one every week.
When people look for sales or
right.
What's going on? She looking for new protests. What y'all got?
Which I got.
My marching shoes. What's going on?
Right.
And you know what? I already got my outfit for August 28th. I ain't playing.
Yeah. You know what? We can talk about. I didn't put that on the agenda, but we can talk about August the 28th. We can end it on that conversation with August the 28th. So, since the last time we had a chance to talk, the world has been turned upside down. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready, Ghost. When you're ready, give me. Okay. All right. He's ready. So we have a special guest joining us today.
I'm sorry. Who has a Darth Vader theme? Because I'm loving it. I need that in my life.
That is Ghost.
Where did you get that from? You have an iPhone now. I need that in my life.
I mean, you can just.
That is his ringtone. When he calls me, that is his ringtone.
It should have the phone should let you just load the song.
I'm not trying.
And it's the Imperial anthem, so don't look for the Darth Vader anthem.
No, it's the Imperial March or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, is there not a more perfect ringtone for Ghost? If you know him, is it not more perfect?
Nah.
Look, he looking like Darth Vader now. Look at him. Look at him. Looking all.
That's the man that show up to the Star Wars convention with a Star Trek shirt on.
That's me.
That is him. We went to go see Star Wars, and he did have on a Star Trek shirt on. That is what he does. That is what he does.
The ultimate troll.
Ghost, your admirers are here in the chat. Just so you know, you have fans. Sir,
fans. I've only been on twice, and I got fans.
I just take his shirt off to get fans.
Right, Face got to take your shirt off to get fans. So.
Do what works for you, bro.
So since we last met up, you guys, the world has been turned and flipped upside down. At least for us Black folk. It didn't start. I tell my people it didn't start with the murder of George Floyd. It was the spark that lit the fire that sitting there. The kindling had been burning under the surface, and that was sort of like that last little fuel that sort of just had everything explode. So not to go deep into it, because I feel like we've talked about. I mean, I know everybody has their George Floyd story, but that's what I said. What did I say? Flood?
Yeah.
Floyd.
My Floyd, yeah.
No disrespect. No disrespect. Floyd. What do you guys? How you guys feeling about? I guess just the incident itself. Like, how are we feeling about that? I know his name, Danny. Thank you. How are we feeling about the incident itself?
To me, it's Rodney King all over again. Here are the cameras. Here's the incident. Here's the, the difference is, this time a life was lost. And once again, nothing happened until, we rise up, ride like the wave. It's sad that we have to keep coming to you in this form to say, do your fucking
go ahead. No, you good. Say it. We good.
To do your job.
Probably look, YouTube it probably gonna be monetized anyway, because we talking about, race and shit. So don't worry about it.
So it's like, why do we
I'm glad we said something early.
Right. I mean, yeah. So
why do we have to come into the streets and bring the fight to your door for you to do something as basic as investigate, look into it, potentially press charges? Why do we have to get to this point before y'all actually do your fucking job?
Now, I will say this because first I had heard about it and just all the conversation. Then I think it took me 45 minutes to watch 8 minutes worth of video. But
I still haven't watched it.
And then they're still, they were talking like what Meg was saying about bringing it to investigation. Now, I thought, because of, if you remember that one of those school shootings where the cop stayed in his car.
Oh, that was in Florida.
Yeah, and after that, federal judge says that the police weren't required to protect anybody's life unless you were in custody. I don't know how much more in custody this man could have been.
Right, and
all over his body, and he was handcuffed, so he was in custody, and he lost his life. That should have been an immediate investigation because he was in custody. But we had to kick over cars and burn down a police station for them to even, present what charges could be against this man. Much less everybody else that was laying on his body. He was in custody.
Right.
Federal judge said.
Yeah. I mean, custody, handcuffed, defenseless, all of the above. What about you, Ghost? Where did it take you?
The sad part is it was right after the Ahmaud Arbery shooting in Georgia. And I didn't watch that video. I couldn't. I've seen enough. I couldn't watch that. I've never seen the entire Ahmaud Arbery video. And then not years, not months, weeks later, you have a man that's clearly in custody with another man laying on his neck and kills him in front of everybody. And he's very nonchalant about it, as if he's stepping on a roach. And just last night in Atlanta, they killed another man. For what was his crime? Because he was sleeping in his car. He was under the influence of alcohol. He tested, above the legal limit as far as alcohol. So they had already searched him. They had already searched him, indicating he had no weapons. And he took the cop's taser and he shot him. Why? What was his crime? He wasn't running around killing a bunch of people from the 12th-story floor of a hotel in Las Vegas. He wasn't killing 5 or however many black people was in South Carolina in a church. These people get taken alive, and we're always killed for less, for doing nothing, for doing everyday things. And I don't even know where the line is. I don't have the words to describe how hard it is right now. Just literally just being. I
talked about the ATM machine years ago.
I can't. I don't even know what to say because, and as Will Smith said, it's not that there's racism is being exposed. It's just, or not that it's increased. It's being filmed. This is stuff that's always been happening. It's nothing new.
And this is kind of stuff that when you would talk to your white friends, they would say, "Oh, you're exaggerating. Oh, that doesn't really happen." And now that people are seeing the video, they still don't believe it. They still have excuses. They still don't want to make that connection. And it's like, I don't know what else I need to tell you to prove to you that this is our reality. Like, again, was the dude right for taking the cop's taser? No, but should it have been a death sentence? You know what I mean? Arrest him and charge
him. It's a taser. You can't kill anybody with a taser.
I mean, it takes some effort.
More than one. Okay, it was 2 cops. So you tell me 2 cops can't take 1 man down, and your last recourse is let me shoot him.
Right.
First recourse. That was their first recourse.
It's your first and last. First and last.
Right.
Your only recourse.
They skip straight to the end.
Right.
This was kind of like
not let me chase him down. Not let me hit him with my nightstick. I'm just going to shoot him and end the problem right here.
Let's not get over the fact, like, how do you get your taser taken in the first place?
Because most of these cops are punks. They can't fight. They rely on the badge to intimidate people and that gun to protect them from getting their ass whooped, and they can't fight. I thought you had basic training, basic techniques and stuff when you became a cop. I know you do in the military.
There's videos of cops with people, white people, what they're up against, that clearly shows the cop getting their ass whooped or not being able to control the situation, and yet the suspect somehow is still living.
I don't get it.
To go to jail. That's all, man.
And here's the other thing.
Remember, we got enough of them. Our quota is met for jail, so we're just gonna go ahead and shoot him right here in the street.
The only reason we haven't had more over the last 2 months is because of Corona. Think about it. Because everybody was inside. And it's like, as soon as they let everybody out, let's start shooting black people again. It's time. It's open season. Be very, very quiet. I'm fighting black people.
They was behind that quota because everybody was inside. Yeah,
right. Right. They was behind on their quota. So the world sort of, it was a slow eruption, but it was an eruption nonetheless. And I asked Langston, Goose, to be here because I know he was out protesting. We know Meek has been out on the front lines protesting. My niece, I was going to ask her to join us, but she actually went out. And I'm very proud of my niece because she's a part of that generation that everybody says doesn't care. She's a millennial. She's, got the cell phone in her face 24 hours a day, but she went out there. Like, I didn't ask her, I didn't tell her, I didn't encourage her. She made the decision to go. And she shared on her Instagram story, that she was a little nervous, wasn't sure what to expect, but was out there nonetheless. And it ended up, it was a great experience for her. What was it like? I guess I'll start with you, Ghost. Your decision to go, and I know you protest, you've gone to anti-war protests and stuff like that, but what was your decision in this moment, and what was your experience when you were down there?
So I went to the protest here in Columbia. I literally heard about it, late Monday night, and I said, I'm going to take off from work early, and I'm going to go down here and protest. And I was impressed with, as with a lot of the marches, the diversity of the crowd. But to me, it was just, I think, at least here in Howard County, some people are like content with the status quo, like, oh, we don't have that issue in Howard County, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen everywhere. And I think the only way you affect change is if you have to show everyone is upset by this. I mean, I've read somewhere that there's been a protest in every state regarding this situation. Yes. And that's the only way you get change, so if it can happen in Atlanta, if it can happen in Minneapolis, if it can happen anywhere, it can happen here in Howard County, because all it takes is one person. It doesn't matter. But I think everyone has to voice their opinion and voice their displeasure with what's going on in the current status of the police. And I'm not saying all the police are bad, but clearly you have an issue where it's happening everywhere. It's not just the cops in South Carolina or whatever.
I think for the point of this, Chad, we don't even have to say that no more.
Yeah. Well, I got that. I'm just simply saying
it's been too many weeks.
Regardless of where you're at, you should feel impacted by this, because I could go to Minneapolis and that might have been me. I can go wherever. So it doesn't matter where I am. I still feel, that could have been me. And I've been stopped. I've been profiled. I've been told we got to report you in the area. And this is back when I was younger and I was much more sarcastic than I am now. Stop laughing, Chrissy. But
my brother,
that could have been me, and I had a smart ass mouth, and I would give you a smart ass answer, and I could have had two to the back, So I think it's something that I've done it before, and I'll do it when the opportunity presents itself, and I can do it. I will go out there and protest again, Absolutely. And I will say this: our protest was organized entirely by a lot of young people, and they did a very good job. And I really love that they pressed. We're not here for violence. If you're here to start something, this is not the protest for you. And I know that's another portion of the discussion, but I was really impressed with, no one was starting anything. No one was trying to flip cars and start fires and break into the mall and all this other stuff. So I was very impressed with the organization of these young people. And as you said, with your niche, the stereotype of the millennials, they don't care about anything but what's in front of their phone. They did a very good job in organizing the protest that I went to.
I believe you said a 12-year-old was tased and put in a chokehold.
Wow.
Like, you don't put no kids in no chokehold.
Shit, or tase them.
You can't restrain a 12-year-old. You shouldn't be a cop.
And okay, and I'm just going off on the side a little bit. Right, if you can't detain a 12-year-old without putting them in without taste, maybe that's not your ministry. Maybe police is not your ministry. You need to find another job. And the thing is, I lost my train. Oh, the new legislation in New York where they were talking about the outlawing the chokehold. I thought it was already outlawed. Like, I thought they weren't supposed to use chokehold.
Right. And clearly they used it.
A lot of times what happens is, the legislation is brought up, but then the bills don't pass. And I've been talking with delegates from my area who've been talking about that, who've been trying to do police reform for the last 30 years. But that's the problem is when the bills come up, a lot of times they stick it, somewhere else. It gets overlooked. It gets pushed back down, and it doesn't make it. And we as citizens need to be aware of what bills are up for votes and pressure our representatives to vote for it.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is I thought that using a chokehold was already something that they had outlawed in like the 70s, 80s. Like, I thought that they already weren't supposed to be using a chokehold. Now, that's a valid point, but I thought that was something that had already been agreed on. Like,
I thought New York at least had passed the law against it.
Yeah, I really did. And again, I could be wrong, but I still Belief says in Missouri they still allow it. So maybe
come on, man, Google it. Come on, you got it.
But the thing about it is, a lot of times, as we all know, the law ain't broke till you get caught. Right. And that's the problem. A lot of these officers, they've been doing shit. It's been illegal to kill us for a few years, in this country, but they still doing it. And then when they get more than a few years, though, mate. It's been a few years. It's like, when stuff happens and nothing really happens to them, then it's like a child. If your child goes in the kitchen and tears up the kitchen and you just give them a stern talking to, and then you go clean the kitchen behind them and keep on moving, and you keep doing the same type of repetitive thing over and over and over again, they're going to think it's okay to clean the kitchen because nothing's really going to tear it up because nothing's going to really happen to me. And that's what's going on. And I'm sorry.
There are no consequences. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I'm not, and I feel the same way. I hate the fact that every time we speak about police, we have to predicate it with, well, we know all police aren't bad. But where
are they?
Yeah, when the thing is, but when they're dragging us and beating us, no one says, well, not all black people are bad or are criminals. It's just like, oh, well, you should have complied. Fuck you and your compliancy. And I read.
My thing is this: let's talk about the definition of good, bad cop. Just because you aren't the one that is physically doing it, if you don't stop, if you don't snitch, if you don't go to internal affairs, and I understand that it's a death sentence. I understand that in a lot of cases,
it shouldn't be.
I understand all of that. I get it, but you know what? Right ain't always easy.
Shit, right is never easy.
Like, I understand it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's gonna be, but right ain't always easy. But if you know that your fellow officer is out here doing that bullshit, and you're not doing anything to stop it, to involve yourself, to go to the proper authorities, then you're compliant, and that's just as bad.
But you know what? I read something recently. It said, you take 100 cops. If you have of 100 cops and you have 10 cops that are doing wrong, and 90 cops who stand around and watch them do wrong and don't say anything, then you have 100 bad cops.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically
that's like worse than even the punishment. It's like, even military's not perfect. I know one thing: if you don't have anything, if you never say anything about somebody that's done something wrong, when they get caught and they know that you knew about it, everybody got to go. Everybody's going down. Everybody's going down.
They erased that whole chain of command.
Yeah,
everybody's going down.
But like you're saying with the cops, there was one. I think she was in Buffalo. It was a black female, and she reported her coworker, and she got fired. If you remember the guy in California, he was an LAPD officer, and he said, "Hey, something went down, blah 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 blah." They fired him. He snapped and shot up a whole bunch of cops. And if you watch the Dave Chappelle special, he tells the whole thing. Right. And like you said with bad cops, Dave Chappelle said the cop that killed the guy in Ohio had just stopped him the day before and let him go.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I get it that it's not easy. I get it that it's not, that you may very well be putting your career on the line. Like, I understand that. But what I also understand is that there is strength in numbers. So if Ghost says it happened and he's out there by himself, then absolutely they can target Ghost. But if 20 officers complain about Face and say, hey, he's a dirty cop, he's using excessive force, he's doing X, Y, and Z, then it's a lot easier for Face to be reprimanded than if Ghost went and said it by himself. Yes, I know. I was using
He's a villain.
Face looks shady.
You know what I'm saying?
But can I be a hero in one of these stories?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. And I mean, so for me, I guess that's, I feel like, if everybody would say, you know what, enough is enough. And I know I might be putting my career on the line, and I know I might be putting my job on the line, but enough is okay, he'll be back, I guess. Okay.
He's still with phone service too?
Hey, I don't know he'll be back. I'm sure whatever. He might have got a phone call because he's using his phone. And so he probably got a phone call and they kicked him out. So he'll be back. Yeah, he's going to have to put him on airplane mode or something like that. But he's important like that, honey. He's important like that. But so a couple of things are popping up. Danny brought up a valid point. Even when laws pass, it still has to go through the unions. And so it does change county by county, state by state, as far as the definition of excessive force, or when we start getting into chokeholds and stuff like that. So that's absolutely valid. That's valid.
I think it was New York who just last week said they were severing ties with their union. Mm-hmm. Because for that reason, because stuff that they want to do, the union is bucked up against, and they're like, we can't keep having this stuff. We can't keep having these situations happen. And then you turn around, he's back. And you defend the police, so they said they're severing ties with the union, and I think they should. I really think they should. Like, I haven't watched the someone sent it to me, but I haven't watched the Dave Chappelle special yet. I'll probably watch it after we do this.
It was good. It was really good. It was really good.
I keep hearing it really good.
As someone, and let me say this about the unions before we go too far down that road. Understand that the job of the union is to protect someone's job. Now, when I worked for the teachers union, we defended teachers even when we knew they were wrong, because that was our job. You pay union dues to have your back when you have a conflict. Now, there were certain things that we would not defend. As a union, if you were accused of a sexual situation, you had to get outside counsel. We wouldn't get involved in that. But if your principal said that you called out of work 20 times and you were abusing the leave policy, our job was to mitigate your damage. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah. I think a lot of times unions,
it's like they're making sure you can be wrong but not wrong.
Doing their job. Their job is to mitigate the damage. Now, like I said, there were certain things that we wouldn't defend. There absolutely were certain things we would not get involved in, but that is the union's job. And I think that sometimes people...
So police union, if somebody dies, they should just tap out.
But that's what I'm saying. That's my point. When there's certain things that I think a union should say we're not going to get involved with. I do agree with that. But what I'm saying is, the union's job is to mitigate the damage. So if the officer is saying, hey, I follow procedure, I did what was in the procedure, then the union's job is to say, wait a minute, you can't punish him for doing his job. If he followed procedure, now sometimes the problem is the procedure's fucked up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But if the person, and I'm not talking about George Floyd, I'm just using this as an example of a lot of times we hear the unions, oh, well, the union. But if the police officer did what was in their purview to do, they didn't do anything outside of what they are allowed to do, then it's the union's job to defend that. Now,
but that comes back to the officer in the George Floyd case, who they say he was only employed for 4 days.
That was the two, not the one that actually had his foot on his neck. That was the other.
Yeah.
And then the other one, he was a veteran. The Asian dude, he was a veteran too.
Well, the one who was employed for 4 days, his lawyer is trying to say that he was a rookie. He was only following his CEO, which was Davin or whatever his murdering ass name is. They're saying that he was only following orders, which is by his procedure for him is you follow your commanding officer's orders, which was to stand down and not do anything.
Right.
So it is a gray area. It truly is a gray area, and I agree with you, Classic. It should be at that point procedure doesn't work.
Right. And again, don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody to think that I'm defending. I mean, I am defending unions, but I'm not defending
the police union.
Right. I'm not right.
Specific police unions.
Right. Because again, I do think that in a lot of cases, the police unions do defend cases they shouldn't defend. So
I can say that my brief tenure with the government and the union that were there, I mean, I was a contractor and I just watched because some employees felt like, I can't get fired.
Right.
I'm in the union.
I think just like everything in history, unions have overcorrected. So here's the reality, and I've said this before, and I don't want to make this a whole union conversation. I do need to go look at that Big Daddy. I haven't seen it, but I do watch John Oliver, so I'm sure it's in my DVR. But I don't want to make this a union conversation. But let me say this. For a long time, it wasn't until like the 1920s, 1918s, 1920s that we had a labor movement. Prior to that, there were no protections for workers. There were no pension plans. There was no rules for overtime. There was no 5-day work week. There was no 8-hour work day. Like all of the things that we enjoy today, none of that was in place. You could be fired for any reason at any time with no recourse, with no explanation. They could pay you whatever they wanted to pay you. They didn't have to pay you overtime. I mean, once upon a time, people worked 300. There were only 2 days off per year. One of those days was Christmas. There was no vacation, none of that. And so with the labor union movement, we got all of those things. But what happened was around the 1960s, unions started overcorrecting. And that's where you started seeing, a lot of this, the union corruption that we know. I mean, at the time, we didn't know what was going on. But we know now, in hindsight, a lot of that union corruption and all of that. And so with that being said, do unions need to be reformed? The unions need to be reformed just like police need to be reformed. But do I want to live in a world without a union? No. So I think we need to be careful and say, okay, there needs to be some sort of reform there. But I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because then I know y'all don't want to put yourselves in a situation where y'all are it's left up to your employer to decide when you work, when you don't work, how long you work, how you get paid without any recourse. And I know some people work without a union, but even if you work in an area without a union, there are certain laws in place that unions did that you still reap the benefit of. A 5-day work week. You know what I'm saying? You reap the benefit of that. Even if you work somewhere, the fact that even if you work on weekends, you still got to get 2 days off. You still have a 5-day work week, even if it's not Monday through Friday. You see what I'm saying? Right. So I don't want to. Sorry, I don't want to go too far left, but
it's not just about unions. I mean, to take it back to the police, you know what? Like, you're trained through basic training to get on the force. But then how often do they train to stay in shape or whatever beyond that? Why is it that we only have...
Damn it.
Why do we only have police evaluations after there's a shooting? They need to be mentally and emotionally evaluated. I say every 6 months, but we can start negotiation at every year. Your job requires you to carry a loaded weapon with you at all times on duty. Your job at any given time puts someone else's life in your hands. That shouldn't be a one-time thing. That shouldn't be let me give you 6 weeks of training and then we'll go from there. And if something happened, we'll be here for you. But other than that, rock that beat and we'll see you 30 years when you give you a pen, you retire. We need more. That for me, that's part of reform. That's police accountability.
Because I know if I wanted to jump back in, they say, hey, like 10 years ago when I was a little bit younger and a lot sexier, I want to jump back in to the military. I would have had to take an evaluation.
Yeah,
I would have taken an evaluation. Make sure I'm cool.
Even in my line of work, where I do think that I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be opposed to teachers having to take an evaluation. I just wouldn't. There's a lot, especially if you work in certain environments.
I know that move dealing with you.
Shut up. But especially if you work in certain environments, and I'm not even just talking about just urban environments, but if you work in certain environments, I wouldn't be opposed to teachers having to take evaluations on a regular basis, because some stuff I think we might need to talk to people about some things that go on. I mean, not even so much the violence, some of the stories we hear about what our kids deal with at home and some of the issues we have to deal with. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
From what I've been seeing and reading, apparently mental illness is becoming a thing. It used to not be a thing, but it's a thing now.
We were talking about that earlier. Ghost and I were talking about that earlier about PTSD. Like, it's weird that hasn't become a thing until the last 10 years that people said, wait a minute, being in a war zone for an extended period of time.
Suicides of veterans.
Like,
but you know what? But to bring it back to topic, I watched something recently on Meta World Peace.
Who?
Meta World Peace. I'm trying to think of his real name. What his mom named him?
Ron Artest.
Thank you, Ron Artest. Look, I'm trying to call him by what he's gonna be called by. We always are respecting people's whatever. So
he was out protesting, honey.
Yo, that's a good point. Gun certification happens every 5 years, but de-escalation doesn't, or racial bias doesn't.
It needs to be annual at minimum. I started a conversation.
I got to take sensitivity training on a regular basis.
I think it needs to be every 6 months, but it's to me because I had police officers come to my house a couple years ago, and I kept them at the door and talked to them the whole time. But you come to my house on a non-emergency event, and you got your gun belt on and all this other stuff. It's two of y'all. I'm home, me and my kids. If y'all wanted to, now I didn't allow them in my house because no need for you to come into my house. But if they wanted to, you could have muscled your way in. And who's to stop them? And as a citizen, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? And these are the things that we have to be knowledgeable of. You knocked on my door. I don't have to let you in my house.
What you need, Slim? Talk to the people. I don't talk to FedEx. I ain't got to talk to you either. What you need?
And I'm gonna say it wasn't a bad situation. Nothing bad happened. It was just a report or whatever. But it's to the point where we should not be afraid of the police.
Well, they do certain paperwork. They don't they don't have paperwork to deal with us because there's extra to come with that apparently.
And I actually, when they called me, I was in the shower. My kids the police opened the door. My kids don't have to open the door for anybody. I don't give a shit. The 12 disciples can knock. They can't get in.
Jesus. All 12 of them?
Jesus. Hello. We got Jesus in the car.
My child, open the door.
Hey, Jesus outside the limo.
My child, I'm here. Open the door.
Hello. It's not even dark outside. Can you let me in?
All 12 of the disciples could show up. Okay.
So my kids they hear no shot. They're like, Mom, the police at the door. And I'm like, the hell is at my door for? So I was like, okay. So I finished my shower, dried off, put some lotion on, put some clothes on, went downstairs, and I looked, and they were still sitting out front.
I mean, y'all surprised? None of y'all surprised at me. I mean, took her time.
I flipped the porch light.
Ain't none of y'all surprised.
And I stood in my doorway, and with the screen door between us, and I talked to the police. And I'm sitting here but at no point in time should I fear the police coming to my door. at no given time, you know. And they were two good, you know, sheriffs or whatever. They were sitting there talking. I had made some other pork chops, and they were like, "Oh, you made some pork chops?" I was like, "Sure, you want one?" You know.
Hey, they on the job. They can not playing.
But it's like, but when did we lose officer friendly? When did we lose those type of officers?
When we graduated. I ain't heard about officer friendly since we graduated. Stop playing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I ain't heard about officer friendly since probably since before we graduated. But yeah, around that time. Man, so it's like, and I'll say this. My part of my thought is this. I live in Southern Maryland, and my police officers, some of them live in Virginia and other places. If your first experience,
they're not the local cops anymore. They don't live.
Yeah, if your experience, your first experience of contact or only contact with people of color, black or not, is through your job in policing them, then you're always going to have a salty taste towards a group of people.
Right.
So I do believe we need to come back to the community police, even if you don't live exactly in that city. Like, okay, say you live in Largo, but you're a police officer for Riverdale. At least you understand the general area.
Right.
But if you are a police officer for, you know, Largo, but you live in Manassas, you may not see the people that you're policing. And the only time
you know what the killer part about that is, as far as I don't think, like, I think being a police officer, at least in this neighborhood, I say this neighborhood, like I still live in the city, but like in DC and whatever, like I think being a police officer used to be like a job, like a cool job. You can get it, retire, have a good pension, blah blah, whatever. X, Y, and Z. I don't think that's the job. Like, it's not that anymore, because one, it's a lot of white police officers in DC, which is one of the blackest cities on earth.
Right. Well, before gentrification, it was
gentrification.
I mean, this is before. I'm just saying. And then,
no, like, I agree.
And here's why I thought that, because, like, when my father passed, like all the sheriffs, and I had that beef with the young cop on the way in, it was like somehow doing a conversation when everybody got on the same page and we was all cool. Actually, he was white. The white detective that was there actually gave me his card, not that, you know, in case anything else comes up, but if you want to be a police officer, because, you know, you have a good head on your shoulders and, you know, blah, 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 X, Y, and Z, if you contact me and I can make sure you get a job. And I was like, you know, my father's like right there, still down on the couch, but, you know.
But, you know.
But it's like, you know, apparently it's not the thing anymore.
Right. But, you know, there used to be a program when I first started teaching in DC. There was a program called Teacher Cop Next Door. It was Teacher Next Door and Cop Next Door. It was through HUD.
Wait, I thought that was just like one of those things that just passed on my email. Like,
no, it was a real thing. And it was where if you bought a house in the neighborhood, if you were a police officer or a teacher, and you bought a house in the neighborhood where you taught or policed, it was like you got a 50% discount, right? And I know people who. Now the problem was this. You know, I was a day late and a dollar short, because I know people, right now. I know people know. Here's the problem. It's a twofold problem. I know people who actually took advantage, who were able to take advantage of the program. Like I said, I was a day late and a dollar short. By the time I applied for the program, gentrification started rolling in, and HUD, because, you know, at the beginning of this, that's when they were giving away houses in DC anyway. We were coming out of the whole crack epidemic, and they were all of these empty, abandoned houses in DC, and they were trying to build the city back up. And so that was a way to bring people back into these neighborhoods. But, you know, two things happened.
Downtown to the U Street now.
Right. And those were some of the houses were. Those row houses that are now $1 million on U Street that they were giving away for, you know, $60,000. So part of the problem was twofold. The first part of the problem was people started taking advantage of the program, because it was only supposed to be like, you know, one house per person, basically. But people started taking advantage of the program because they saw the future, and they started buying more up so that they could rent it out. And then the second part was gentrification, when HUD realized, oh, wait a minute, we don't have to give these houses away. People are willing to pay, you know, $300, $400, $500,000 for these houses now, and so the program went away. But those are the types of programs that, like you said, it brought people into the neighborhood, and then you are more vested, because if you own property here, you're more vested here. You know, so
in a sense of, if I'm okay, so like I want to be a police officer now. I want to be SWAT. So if I live in my neighborhood and I see, you know, little Pookie down the street, and I know Pookie father just got arrested, and he living with his grandmother. If Pookie down the corner, you know, stealing some candy or something, I'm not about to grab him and slam him to the thing, because I know Pookie going through some stuff right now. Because I know the community, I know my neighborhood. I can be a little bit more sympathetic to what he's going through. Now, granted, I'm not saying let Pookie slide or whatever, but at least talk to him. Pick him up, take him back home to his grandmother, and be like, instead of have a conversation with him. What's going on? Are you okay? How's this? Look, your grandmother, she doing everything she can to help you. We don't have that type of connection with the community and the police anymore. It's I see you, which is the reason why we can tase and pepper spray and choke cold a 12-year-old, which is the reason why in the situation of Samir Rice, where you don't see a little boy in a park by himself playing cops and robbers, you see a black vigilante with a gun and let's fire down. You didn't even fucking stop the car. You didn't even get out the daggone car. You reached to the window and shot a 12-year-old because you didn't see him as a child. You didn't see him as a value. You saw him, if he ain't now, he later on he gonna grow up to be a thug, but he gonna grow up to be this, he gonna grow up to be that.
I had that conversation with a white friend of mine. Well, I won't call him an associate, acquaintance. Yeah, that sounds right.
Somebody you know.
Yeah, and he was like, you know, and he was talking about the whole situation, protests and blocking traffic, and like personal inconveniences of his. And I say, it must be nice to be able to be white all the time. He's like, what are you talking about? You can be white all the time. You can have this same energy in front of the police, the president, anybody you want to talk to. You can have the same energy and whatever, and it's not even a problem because you're just expressing yourself. I can't be black all the time.
Right.
Not all the time.
I need people to understand, and I said this to one of my white coworkers because I said something to him. He said something, and I was like, "See, there go that white privilege," and he got offended. And I was like, "This is what I need you to understand. White privilege you have because you are white. Taking advantage of it is a different conversation. You can't help the fact that you have white privilege because you have it by the mere fact that you are white. But don't act like it doesn't exist just because you don't feel like you take advantage of it. Those are two different concepts. They are two totally different concepts, you know. And like you said, and somebody earlier in the conversation said that videos of white kids cussing the police out, yelling at the police, calling them all kinds of, you know, assholes and everything else.
Fucking pig.
Right. The police don't say nothing. The police try to talk to them real calm and all of that. But then, like you said, but as a black kid, you don't have that shit. As a black adult, you don't have that luxury because it could very well be, and it's not an exaggeration.
Yep. I'm sorry, stuff. Was I speeding?
You had white men with assault weapons in the state capitol screaming at police
over a haircut because they want to get their haircut today.
Because they want to get a haircut, because they want to go get a beer, because they want to get a cheeseburger. They were screaming at police.
Yeah, I mean,
let black people do that. How do you think a protest
we did do it? And what did they call us? They called us thugs, and we're rioting, and we're this and we're that. We did do it.
Wait,
we didn't have weapons. We didn't have weapons.
Hey, Classic, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you probably know, and I'm just thinking. I'm just having a thought. Like, didn't the Black Panthers do something like that in California once?
Bobby Seale.
Yeah, and then that's when the assault rifle ban came in, right?
Well,
right after that.
What happened was in California there was a little known. See, let me go down the road. Huey Newton was a very smart guy. Huey Newton he had read up on the laws in California, and because California was a frontier state, there were a lot of laws that were still on the books in California that people just forgot to change as California grew and it became more populous. And one of the rules was that you could walk around with a rifle in full display. And I forgot whether it was, I think I think it just couldn't be loaded or it couldn't be in the chamber or something. I don't know a lot about guns. So what happened?
It wasn't loaded.
Right. So what happened was when Huey Newton started the Black Panthers, that's why in the early pictures of the Black Panthers, you saw them policing the neighborhood with their guns, their rifles out. They weren't breaking the law. They weren't doing anything illegal. And what happened was at the time, Governor Ronald Reagan, they were in the process of changing that law because the local police precincts in Oakland and in other areas where the Panthers had sprung up, they were like, yo, we can't arrest them because they know that they're not breaking the law. And so they were in the process of changing the law. So Bobby Seale and some other Panthers, they were going to protest. And so they were walking in the state capitol with their rifles and they were going to protest. And he made a wrong turn and he ended up in an area he wasn't supposed to be in. He actually ended up being on the floor of the state. He actually ended up being on the floor of the state capitol. And that's what got him in trouble. Because him going in the state capitol with the gun wasn't the problem. He went to the wrong place. He made a left when he should have made a right,
Fair enough. So I guess in all of this, all of these redneck crackers, they basically just imitating the Black Panthers then?
Say what now?
So all their constitutional right
Black Panthers
to bear arms.
Well, yeah, now they're using their right to bear arms. Now they're just spewing their Second Amendment right to bear arms. But also remember, a lot of states still have those laws that they just never changed, especially in the more Midwestern states. Like they just still, or open places where you can open carry. Like it's a lot of places where you can legally just carry a gun and it ain't no issue until we do.
all these whack protests they doing. Let's figure like they just copying us. That's how I have to look at it.
Again, oh well,
I feel like they're just copying us again. That's how I look at it.
Right, and Jane said right, valid point, Jane. You never hear about the NRA when it's black people, like with Philando Castile. I didn't hear the NRA protecting his right, but let that have been a white man that had a carry license and was just trying to show the police and he had gotten shot. Let that have been him.
Oh, your boy, what's his name? Damn it! I try to put him out of history, but
George Zimmerman.
Yeah, they defended the hell out of him.
He didn't look black.
And
he didn't look black.
I mean, everybody could wait for
the assault rifle dude. They defended the assault rifles and all of that after that.
But the thing is, look at what do y'all remember the black man who was in Walmart in the toy section on the phone with his fiance, and he picked up a toy gun out of the toy section in Walmart?
It wasn't a toy gun; it was a BB gun. It was a BB gun, and that's the cop. That's the cop that stopped. Well, I'm just. Yeah. To me, a toy gun is like a Nerf gun, but I get what you're saying. Right. But that's the same cop that stopped Dave Chappelle the day before, and that's what he was saying in this video. This man was going to Walmart, to provide for his family, and the cop said, "Put the gun down," and then shot him. Didn't even give him a chance to register. Because if I'm standing in the store, my first thing is, "You talking to me?" The cop didn't give him that chance.
Like, I'm in the toy section,
right?
And he was on the phone talking to his pregnant girlfriend. Beyonce. So I'm on the phone talking to somebody. I was on the phone earlier talking to Classic, walking into Walmart, and the people I was with was telling me I was going into the wrong way, one way in, one way out now. It didn't register they was talking to me because I was on the phone. So you gave him no chance, and because of that, this man lost his life. She lost her, her love. The children lost their father. But again, they don't look at it that way. They don't look at it that way.
He should have been glad.
Yeah, exactly. So let me switch the conversation a little bit. Let's talk about what is it. And I was having this conversation with El Teddy yesterday, and I've talked about it earlier this week. What is it that we're like? What is it? Do we feel like that there's an overcorrection? Are we being are they pandering to us?
Is there an overcorrection?
Like, example of the Band-Aids.
Overcorrection.
I don't give a fuck about you making Band-Aids in different shades of brown. I just don't give maybe I should, but I just don't give a fuck.
Okay, so this is my thing with it. First and foremost, we as a community need to establish, reclaim, and reorganize and discover what we want. I understand that every need of every individual of our community is the same. However, we need to be vocal about our community overall. First of all, yes, I think we need
to figure out what we want as a whole first.
Yes.
I don't want to be shot.
Well, I mean, but I think for me, it's deeper than that.
I think that's number one on the list right now. I think
that's number one. I just don't want to be shot. Your first reaction should not be your first reaction when you stop me and I'm an intimidating black man is not to pull out your gun. That should not be your first instinct.
But I don't want to be afraid of the police.
Yes,
but
we shouldn't have to be afraid.
I think when Mick is gone, there's that, and then there's every other systemic racist issue that we still have to deal with after it's over. And are we gonna, like, after the election, like after the court case or whatever, are we still gonna have the same energy to continue to get what we want, basically just to be equal citizens, the ability to be black all the time?
I'm at the point now, in all honesty, I'm like, until my last breath. I'm tired of something happening and then we stop. We wait for something else to happen and we protest until my last breath, because the shit has got to stop. It's like point blank and simple. Like after the George Floyd murder, I went to work and somebody at work came to me and was like, "Are you okay?" And I looked at him and I was like, "You know what? No, I'm not okay." As a wife of I have, one father, 4 brothers, a husband, a son, I have 10 nephews. As all of that, I'm not okay. And even just as a black woman, because someone brought up earlier, we as black women, we're not immune to what goes on in the community as far as being affected or being victims. So no, I'm not okay with what's going on. Right. And part of it is like even now with my son, I have to literally, he has cute little shirts that I like, because I like t-shirts. I like, t-shirts with funny sayings and things like that. And so he kind of the same way. So I have to sit back and hang his t-shirts in a separate part of his closet so he doesn't wear them to school, because all I need is for one of these white motherfuckers down here to see my little geeky face son in this t-shirt. Because you're having a bad day, you think, oh, he's a black kid, now he's a threat and he's doing something. And any of y'all see my son know, that ain't his personality. That's not him. No. So all I need is for somebody to have a bad day and need to take it out on him and say something. And Lord forbid, do something to my son, because I'm going to bring a executive theory with it. But I shouldn't have to critique every little thing that my son wear to school because somebody else may see it offensive and treat it a certain way.
Can't be black all the time. That's all.
That's the part that's that white privilege. That's part of that black experience that nobody wants to openly talk about and think about. We have to decide how we're going to wear our hair. How are we going to dress? What type of t-shirts? What tone of voice? I can't imagine being a black male with a deep voice having to go to work. And I can't say,
man. It don't even have to be the voice. It don't even have to be the voice.
Yo, I have to manage my facial expressions. You know how hard that is?
Yes.
Do you know how hard that is?
Well,
for me, of all people?
That case, though, I'm just saying.
I'm like, it's hard. It's like, and I had to literally break it down I was like, no, I'm not okay. Like, this ain't the first time. Sad to say, this ain't going to be the last time. And I'm like, this is days after Ahmaud Arbery, and we're still dealing with the same shit. And don't come to me with I'm not even gonna lie. I had put up on my Instagram, Black Lives Matter. And one of my brothers came back and was like, no, love matters. It took me 2 days to respond to him. It took me 2 days because there was a fire brewing.
Love matters.
Yeah, he was like, no, love, and we don't individuals of the spectrum.
I'll be punching the throat right now.
Okay, and honestly, my first thought is I'm not about to sit here and argue with somebody who hurts me with a shot. Fuck that, no. But the only reason why he got to respond.
You're lying.
The only reason, because he's biologically my brother. He's my mom's oldest son. So I'm like, okay. And I try to come and like, you know what? You're perpetuating the bullshit. Like, don't do that shit in your own face. Don't come to mind with it.
I'm just looking at the chat and it's some of this like the 40 eggs and mule, like reparations type of talk. And I'm like, look, somebody asked me if they were doing a similar talk like this. I'm like, what should we talk about? Similar subject. And I was like, hey, how about this? As reparations, black folks shouldn't have to pay federal income tax.
Hey, I'm down with that shit.
Like, just, that's something easy. The government shouldn't have no problem with that.
White people would lose their collective shit.
They got tax returns and all of that. That should be easy. I mean, they got us little checks.
Miss Black, hey, you guys.
But
well, my thing is, I guess what I'm saying is, you know, over the last week or so, we've been hearing all of this stuff about all of these companies, all of these people making these grand gestures and these great statements. And my thing is, first of all, you doing shit that you should have already done.
First of all,
that ain't what we fucking asking for. Like, again, I just want to not be afraid. Like, for example, I'm gonna go on to speak for Ghost. Ghost is 6'20", okay?
Damn.
Jesus Christ.
His official height.
Right.
How does he get on the screen?
He gets mistaken for a professional basketball player all the time. He's not a little dude. I can only imagine how many times he has been profiled minding his business. Yet, this is a college-educated man who's been in the military, served our country, and works for the government with a pretty high damn clearance, right? So, again, but he has to worry about getting pulled over by the police. He has to worry about walking into a store and people assuming what he can and can't afford. And I know that that's happened with you, Will. I'm just using him as an example because we're talking about
20, you know,
because he's 6'20", right? But I mean, what I'm
better example. I got you.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like all we're asking is for us to feel the same level of safe as the other people feel. A lot of times, don't nobody want to call the police. Why? Because like we were talking about the guy in Minneapolis, the store owner. He wasn't wrong for calling the police. If no, he wasn't. If he felt like there was and I'm not going to argue whether it was or wasn't. If he felt like there was fraudulent money being passed through the store, that is the law. He is supposed to call the police. So he wasn't wrong for calling the police, and at no point in time would he have thought that calling the police would be a death sentence. You understand what I'm saying? And I feel like we can't call the fucking police when we need the police.
There's no judicial ruling where fraud is a death sentence. There's no rule on the book
for that crime.
I saw a post of somebody was saying that we need to go after him and boycott his store, and I'm like, no, we don't.
No, that's not the issue. That is not the issue. He did what he's supposed to do. It's on the police. Your job is to secure the criminal and process the evidence for a trial for the judge and the jury to decide what that man's fate should be. Your job is not to execute him on the spot because you don't like him because of the color of his skin.
And then the thing is, they've already came out and said that the 20 was not a full.
Right, it wasn't.
But even if it was, it's still wrong.
He never seen a big face 20 before.
But that's what I'm saying. My thing is, so like, here's the thing, and that's the other thing, and this is that when that Candace Owens bitch, nobody is saying that these men are angels. I've never said that. Nobody is saying. I have a friend who taught at the school where Trayvon Martin was, and they was like, Trayvon Martin was not a fucking angel. It doesn't matter. And that's why the school never said anything. That's why nobody ever said, well, you know, this kid really was a pain in the ass, because it's not the point.
He didn't deserve to die.
Right. The point is, on that night, he was minding his business.
One committed the crime.
But the thing about it is, I don't give a shit if Trayvon Martin started 5 fights that same day.
Absolutely.
George Zimmerman was not. No. George Zimmerman was not the law. He's not the law. He was told not to progress in the situation. Trayvon whooped his ass and he shot him.
Selling loose cigarettes may be against the law, but it's not a death sentence. Selling bootleg DVDs might be against the law, but it's not a death sentence. Like, and that's the point that I think, and that's what pisses me off about, you know, and I'm gonna just say white America, but anybody who doesn't understand what the issue is. We're not saying that these people are angels, because I don't know and I don't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, the death sentence, the fact that the police showed up and now they are dead is the problem. And in the case of Eric Garner, where this man is being literally choked to death, and you don't have enough compassion in your heart to say, when that man said, I can't breathe, there was not enough compassion in your heart to say, oh shit, maybe I need to loosen this up a little bit. When that you had your knee on somebody's fucking neck, at no point in time did you have enough compassion. There's 4 police officers standing there and one guy who's in handcuffs. At no point in time did it occur to you to say, oh, maybe I should let up a little bit. That's the shit we talking about.
But it doesn't register. And again, as the saying goes, I can never be seen as unarmed if my skin is my weapon. And the thing about it is, You're right. They don't have compassion towards us. And I'm at the point where we need to stop looking. We need to stop looking for compassion from our oppressors. It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
We need to go back to the we need to go back to the days of, before during the 60s, before the 60s, when Black people, we kind of rolled out numbers. You know what I'm saying? We kind of stood together.
I guess what we first
we were fired up when Black Panther came out. We were all giving everybody the Wakanda salute. What happened to that? We stopped there. We need to go back to it. Yeah.
I'm not giving no Wakanda salutes until they tell me that Beyonce won't be in the sequel. I'm not.
God damn it, that's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole nother topic. Do another chat on that.
I'm joking. Jane, your question is valid. Would they have called the police if the person was white? I don't know. And that's, to me, that's a different level of this. That's a different part of discrimination. What I'm saying is the clerk, the store owner, whoever was not wrong for calling the police. Now, whether he would have made that same phone call if the guy was white, I don't know. That's another level of discrimination. What I'm saying is, I think we are sometimes taking our anger out on the wrong people. Same thing with the Wendy's. Why y'all burn the Wendy's down? The Wendy's ain't had nothing to do with
Wendy's ain't had nothing to do with that.
Why y'all burn the Wendy's down?
Hey, you know what? I'm speaking of the franchises and company stuff. I got into a straight up down, full face argument over the Starbucks thing.
Oh, that was PR. That was all PR. That was all PR.
Like, all right, they were talking to me about how terrible that was for Starbucks for them to do that X, Y, and Z. This person telling me I'm about to go to this Black-owned shop that's down the street from my house. Yada yada. This is first thing in the morning.
Wendy said that's not true, Danny. Wendy said that's not true.
No,
they said individual franchises may have donated to Wendy, but as a corporation, they did not.
And Pizza Hut talk about franchises like.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, Face. I'm sorry. I apologize.
He owns like it's not all of that, but anyway. And I'm like, so they went through all of this whole thing about Starbucks and what happened, and they all so my comment back to them was, I'm like, so wait a minute. I just want to be clear. You know that Black-owned coffee shops and cafes exist, and you know where one is, but you wasn't actually going to go there until Starbucks this came out about Starbucks. That's all I'm saying. Like you already knew.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point.
And why do y'all wait? I'm gonna go one further. Why does everybody always want a discount from the black shop, but you ain't asking for no discount from the white shop?
We talked about that the other day. Asking for a black business owner.
No, support black businesses without asking for a discount.
Right.
Exactly. If you give me quality service, I'll gladly go to a black service. But I mean, I hate that when people like, you'll give me a discount. Like, dude, he gotta make money just like you do.
Oh, come on, brother. You know,
Big Daddy.
I don't know about your struggle. Your struggle ain't nothing to do with my bottom line, Slim.
Listen, you guys, let me just say this. What I'm saying to you is, were there better ways that it could be handled? Absolutely. No. But what I'm saying is the store owner wasn't wrong for handling it the way he did. When I was a cashier, depending on who the manager was at that time, if we had fake money come through there, it was handled a variety of ways. But understand the difference. All I'm saying is he wasn't wrong for doing it the way he did it. Could it have been handled differently? Yes. But he wasn't doing anything wrong by saying, wait a minute, you passing fake money. We know, I'm just using the example.
Because what if somebody give you a fake 20 right now? You're going to be pissed.
A mom and pop shop versus a corporation. A corporation can take a $20 hit. A mom and pop store might not be able to take that $20 hit. I'm not saying this person wasn't racist. I don't know that man. All I'm saying is it shouldn't have been a death sentence, and we got to keep the anger in the right place.
Like,
we probably mad at every single person. We got investigation over.
But another thing I want to say this as well. So in DC, the young man who allowed the protesters into his home to give them a safe haven from the police. When we have people like that, stand up and support him, because y'all know the police gonna come to his ass. Y'all know the police gonna try.
That man let 100 black kids in his house, no questions asked.
Strangers.
No questions asked. Didn't know who these people were.
And the thing is, when something like that happened, and I've seen articles where they're saying that some of the protesters have gone back past his house, sat on his stoop, and just had a conversation with him. That's what we need to do. Muriel Bowser, whatever issues people have with her before, she put her job and everything, her reputation on the line to send a message to the president. If you live in D.C., stop picking apart, because you're not going to find a perfect politician. But vote for her, because she put her job on the line for us. And this is the thing, we need to start supporting stuff like this. Like as you're saying, there's an ice cream shop in DC. They said right before, during the beginning of COVID, they were facing closing down because nobody supported them. Something happened with one of the Brewster's owned ice cream shop in Annapolis, and people started Googling Black owned ice cream and found this company here. And now everybody's going in. Keep that same energy. Protesting don't have a time limit. It ain't for convenience. It ain't for comfort. And the damn sure don't have a time limit. It's. I believe in protest and march until you see the change you're looking for. Not a change. Let's be clear. Not a change, but the change you're looking for. And once you change that, don't stop. Move on to the next fucking element that you want.
Because I don't need a lineup of black documentaries on Netflix right now.
Oh,
yeah, I'm already black. I'm good.
Hulu and Netflix, Hulu and Netflix just said, "Fuck it, we're gonna give y'all own section." Like if you go to Hulu, it's a whole tab now. You just got.
I'm kind of glad it's there because it's like
I want to know do white people get that same selection though. That's what I want to know.
Go on Netflix.
But did white people get that same selection? Because it popped up in my line. I was like, did everybody get this?
I think everybody got it. Wait a minute. Let me tell the story for those of you, because all of us are in the DC area, so we know it made the local news. I don't know if it made national news. When the protests were happening in DC, what was it, last week, you guys? And they put the curfew in place. Well, they did that bullshit where they made a 6 o'clock curfew, but didn't say nothing until 5:30, and so the protest was still going on. And the police were trying to literally arresting people and rounding people up at 5:30, 5:45. And there was a white man who opened up his door. He saw the protesters running down the street. He opened up his door and he told them, come in. And they said it was about 100 people just in his house. He fed them whatever he had in his house. They talked, they sang, and then in the morning, the next morning, once the curfew was lifted, he let them, they went home. And what Mink was saying was,
the white dude, he ain't had no oodles and noodles or nothing there.
Right. They just right.
No hot dogs, that man. He had
hamburger, no bun.
Drink all this drink. They know
cereal, no milk.
All this beds done.
But it made the local news. So I didn't know if it made outside of this area. But what Mink was saying was that all he saw was a bunch of black kids running down the street, literally. And he saw the police chasing them. And he no questions asked. He just opened up it did make the national news. Okay. And so Mink was saying that a lot of those kids have gone back to talk to him. And that is how you start building these relationships. That is how you start getting to know there are a lot of people who don't know their white neighbors or black neighbors. We need to really do a better job.
Don't know our neighbors, period.
The thing is,
somebody got my press-on nails now because it went to their address and they don't know me.
Right, and the thing about it is, he got up and went to go get pizza for them, and when he stepped out of his house to come back with the pizza, the police tried to harass him then and didn't want to let him back, in. And he's like, "No, I live here. This is my house. I live here." And even then, they still tried to come into his house. And one of the young ladies who was in his home, she went live from her phone interviewing him. And it's, for me, it was kind of a funny quirky little thing, because you see he's on his phone texting somebody, and she's like, "Sir, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yes." She's like, "Are you sure everything is okay?" He's like, "Yeah." He has his head down. He looks up at her. She's like, "Well, no, I'm going live on my phone because the police and everyone's trying to say that we bum rushed into your house and we're holding you hostage and we're threatening you." He was like, "No, everyone is here." He said, "I'm okay." He was like, "I'm fine. I allowed y'all to come to my house. Y'all can stay here till y'all feel comfortable leaving. If you want to spend a night, that's fine. There's food. There's place for you to lay. Just lay down." And he said, "Is everybody here okay?" And they're like, "Yes, thank you." He said, "Okay, that's the end of it." But it's sad that, again, dealing with the police, she felt the need, because the next thing would have been breaking and entering charges for everyone in the house. It would have been hostage situation charges.
And I'll be honest with you, if they really wanted to get real, like, I'm glad she did that. That was very smart of her, because who's to say they wouldn't have had SWAT surrounding the building? Like, who's to say they wouldn't have taken it to that level? You know what I mean? And again, to the average person, that sounds ridiculous, but none of y'all think that that's ridiculous. Nobody who's black thinks that what I just said is ridiculous.
No, not at all.
And let's be honest, if the homeowner was black, they wouldn't ask, could they enter his home to search?
They came straight to the window.
Breonna Taylor, a no-knock warrant. They just would have busted the damn door down.
Okay, so so wait a minute. Let's take 5 minutes for that one, because let's.
Wait, I'm gonna just.
How is it?
Do we need to go black screen and just let you talk? Do we just need to give? We just need to give Mink a minute. You want
How is it that you not okay? Anybody on this fucking?
I'm gonna wait till she finish.
Excuse my language. Anybody who might be offended. No, y'all did. No, y'all did. Okay. How in the entire fuck do you not read? Did nobody on that goddamn squad know how to read? There is a difference between 123 and 379, or whatever the fuck the building number was. How did you not fucking know you were at the wrong goddamn house? There should be policy, procedures, and protocols before you, especially a fucking no-knock warrant. How the hell do you not know you in the wrong motherfucking place? That's one. Second of all, the person you look for was never associated with that goddamn address. That's two. And most importantly, on top of this, how in the entire fuck do you not know that the goddamn man you're looking for was fucking arrested that morning? Oh, we don't know anything about goddamn technology. You couldn't like fucking text, email, send fucking Harry Potter's out and say, guess what? We got this motherfucker this morning. Like, how does that not happen? That's an epic fucking failure of the police. Everybody got that damn district, that city, that fucking state, because that shit should not have happened. And then the fact that you killed a goddamn
rerun and the rent.
She is one of your people. How the fuck do you not know that? How do you not know whose house you run up into? Nobody goddamn did a goddamn check before you went. Fucking, I'm sorry. Ooh, don't goddamn motherfucking count it. This shit is just goddamn, it just pisses me the fuck off, because she lost her whole entire life. And let's be real. How the hell is she in the goddamn corner hiding? Because you broke into her fucking house. Her boyfriend did what the fuck he was supposed to do, defend him, her, in that goddamn house. You don't shoot him, but you fucking shoot her. He's standing this point on with you. So none of y'all motherfuckers been to the gun range, because you ain't hit him, but you shoot her. That shit wasn't an accident. It's some more shit behind that, and that shit don't make no goddamn sense. Wait a minute, because I'm sitting here like, then you got the nerve to fucking arrest him? Okay.
Hey, Teddy.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say. They tried to charge him, but they dropped the charges.
Okay, no, that shit don't fly. Now, again, she was in the corner hiding, trying to protect herself from this. You fired down on her, but the man standing in front of you with the gun, not one bullet hit him. But you shot her multiple times? That shit, no. That shit don't fly. Some shit probably happened. She probably saw some things as an EMT, and y'all came to her house under the guise of a no-knock warrant. Oh, we thought somebody lived here. That's some bullshit. Straight, no chaser whatsoever.
So do you think that they should? Do you think no-knock warrants should be? Do you think that, because that's one of the things that people are calling for, getting rid of a no-knock? You think we should get rid of no-knock warrants?
Oh, nationwide, yes. And another city that she was in, they did get in Louisville. They did call it the Breonna Taylor's law, and they got rid of it. But the thing about it is, because apparently nobody in y'all goddamn squad know how to read. They don't know their numbers. Nobody knows anything. This ain't the first time, this ain't the only time, and it probably won't be the last time nationwide that you show up at the wrong goddamn door, knocking and shooting somebody. And again, you kick my door in, you don't announce who you are, you don't knock, you don't do anything, you kick a door in a careless state. What do you think was going to happen?
Can you go to the wrong place anymore? Because I don't know, I got GPS right here.
I mean, I'm just saying. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm with you, Danny, and I'm with you, Mink. I would not be surprised if down the line, if they do further investigation, that we find out that she knew something, that she had maybe turned somebody in, that maybe she was going to testify, she had gone to internal affairs. Like, I would not be surprised to find out later on down the road that this was not as accidental as it seems. I'll be honest with you, because I'm with y'all. You know, y'all know I'm the queen of shit don't make sense. If it just don't make sense, it ain't true. If it don't make sense, it ain't true. That's just how I feel about it. And
again, you can do a bolo. In a matter of minutes, you can sit on a bolo and say, "Oh, we're looking for this person." You ain't got nothing. You ain't got a reverse bolo to say we found him. Like, how does that happen? The minute he was locked up and brought to the station, it should have went out to all officers in the area, all arrest officers, anybody who got that they were looking for him. That Ronald McDonald has been found and captured. He's now in police custody. It's canceled. You couldn't do that. There's no protocol, no procedure to say, check in. Hey, we're about to do a no-knock warrant looking for suspect Ronald McDonald.
It seems like an alert, like you said, with modern technology. It seems to me like an alert would go out saying this warrant, you know, we're dropping this warrant, or warrant has been rescinded. Like, it just seems to me like there should have been something before they actually hit that door that they could have checked to say, oh, wait a minute, call it off, let's go have drinks. They found it. You know what I mean? This doesn't.
Let's hit the donut shop.
Sense to me.
But the problem is, let's go back and speak to the mentality of some police officers. You have a gung-ho mentality. Y'all got dressed up, you got loaded up, you got your vest on, you ready. Ain't no way in the world you was gonna not say, you was gonna stand down, regardless. You were ready.
You put all the stuff on, I can't do that with it.
Yeah, right. Because you fired down how many times on this lady? How many times you came into her house and you fired down on her? Come on now.
It goes, how many times you had to go in at the crack of the middle of the night or whatever, put full gear on, they decided it was canceled.
Stand down.
Stand down.
Happens all the time in the military. All the time. Imagine you be happy. You be like, all right.
All right, whatever.
I'll go back to bed.
But the thing is, 2 whole words stop the whole entire mission. Staying down.
Exactly. Like,
that's all. That's it, and that's all. That's it. That's all.
All right. So hold on, you guys. So for me, we have one last topic. I want to thank everybody for coming through. I know some people said they came in late. It's all good. Y'all know what we do. We talking. Everybody, I thank everybody for the conversations. You guys have been we got one last topic we want to kind of talk about. I got to share the screen. Y'all know me sharing the screen. Y'all know.
I'm sorry. They fired 20 shots and she was shot 8 times. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If it was center mass, it's execution.
I mean, but you know what? That's what happened with Fred Hampton. I mean, I ain't trying to go back there, but when we start talking about the Panthers, I mean, that's what happened with Fred Hampton. They had a. I mean, so for people that are saying, "Oh, that don't sound right," no, they had
3 or more bullets center mass. That's an execution.
Right. They had a breakdown of his floor plan of his apartment, because one of the snitches had shared it with them of his apartment, and when they went in, they knew exactly where to go and where he was going to be sleeping and where he was going to be laying. So it's not like it ain't happened before. Like, I'm just saying.
Throw it out there.
I mean, I just gonna put it out there. It ain't like it ain't happened before. All right, let me share this with you guys, and then we're gonna touch on our last topic. Hold on, y'all know this share screen thing. Okay, can y'all see the screen?
Okay.
Can y'all see the screen?
I mean, I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. So so the last topic, it talks about defunding the police. And I think that the name is a little misleading. I know for myself, the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, now we're going too far. We can't defund the police. And then, of course, I had to dig deeper and find out what they meant by that. And so here's a statistic that I saw. These stats are coming from the ACLU. 1.7 million students are in schools with cops, but no counselors. 3 million students are in schools with cops, but no nurses. 6 million students are in schools with cops and no school psychologists. 10 million students are in schools with cops and no social workers. So when we talk about defunding the police, what we're talking about is not let's stop, paying for the police, because we all understand and agree that the police are, we need the police in our life. We just need better police. But this is what we're talking about. Defunding means take away some of the money that is being used to put cops in schools, and let's add counselors, let's add nurses, let's add psychologists, let's add social workers, because some of the issues that the police deal with are issues that really the school psychologists and the social workers should be dealing with. I know myself, I have worked at a school where we had part-time nurses, and I never understood that shit.
A part-time
nurse.
A kid can't get sick on Tuesday and Thursday. They can only get sick Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Because your nurse.
So what ends up happening is if something happens to a child on a day that the nurse isn't there, either A, they have to call an ambulance, or B, they have to call a parent.
Wait,
and
you say ambulance?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the situation.
Okay, yeah. Got it. It's all good. Go ahead.
But no, that was before we moved down here. That was my child's school, elementary school. Is they got a nurse on, I think, Mondays and Wednesdays. One nurse was floated between 3 schools. If you got sick on a non-nurse day,
on call.
Well, if you got sick on a non-nurse day, you were given a cup of water, and your parents were called, and the parents.
She's not lying. She's not lying.
She's Motrin and a cup of water.
No, it was just a cup of water. They ain't allowed to give you medicine. It's a cup of water.
Right,
yeah, and then the thing about it is, the sad part. It's not like you're told, oh, your child doesn't feel okay. What do you want to do? It's your child came because they cut their finger. You come pick them up. We don't have Band-Aids. We don't have this. We don't have that. Come get them. How much time are children losing for lessons? Because something as simple as a fall and scrape at the playground, they get sent home because there's no nurse on staff.
But they don't have water? Like you can wash off or cut like this.
They're not allowed to. And then you couple that with no touching kids nowadays, and you can't do this and what are they going to do? But call a parent. Oh, your child is up front in the front office. Come pick your child up. They fail and cut their finger on the playground.
Yeah. Parents are less gangster with kids these days.
Well, I'll tell you, my daughter's ninth grade year down here, she was going from a trailer back into the main building. And there was a giant pothole in the parking lot that, because of the crowd of kids, she didn't see. She fell and broke and dislocated. She twisted and dislocated her wrist. The nurse called me and was like, yeah, she fell and broke her wrist and blah, blah, blah. Do you want to come get her? And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what is she doing? Well, I gave her a cup of water. And that's with the nurse.
But the reality is, it's funny, but it's not funny. Because that's the reality. I've worked in schools where we don't And Crispy said, Crispy's a teacher. She said she keeps Band-Aids in her classroom. I keep a whole first aid kit in my classroom.
It's like, go ahead, get his board and walk it off. Go ahead, get his board and walk it off. Damn.
You all right, son? You all right?
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
But yet and still, when I worked in DC, we had a full-time police officer. That was his job. He was the resource officer. He was a DC police officer, a legit DC police officer. Right. His job was to just walk around the school all day long. That's when I was at a junior high. I wasn't even in high school, but a full-time police officer, legit DC cop.
Wait, was that Southwest?
That was Southwest.
Yeah, because they was there when we was going there. Because it's kind of like, all right, but he didn't serve no purpose because we still stuck out into the Fine Plaza.
But it wasn't. Once again, there's a lot of stuff that they can't do. So they're really just there to try to intimidate the kids because there's a lot of stuff they can't do. Mm-hmm. Just like it's a lot of stuff people give teachers way too much credit. There's a whole lot of stuff we can't do, and that's why, again, when you have a child that's dealing with a mental breakdown. The police officers are not trained for that, just like I'm not trained for that. But you know who is trained for that? A psychologist. But again, there are so many schools that are not fully staffed in the mental health area. Again, I worked at them. El Teddy, there's a liability for school if they treat a child for an injury and they aren't licensed, certified healthcare professional. Exactly. So that's the point we're making.
We need a licensed, certified healthcare person in the school full time all day.
And you would think that's the big one.
But that's what goes back to the whole defunding the police part of it. If we took money away,
that's sports teams.
Like how many police districts across the United States have tanks? When the fuck we gonna need a tank? But
and the thing,
John,
we need to demilitarize.
We need to do our homework. Our homework for today, we can wind this down in a few minutes. And our homework for today is everybody go watch John Oliver, because it sounds like John Oliver covered all of this.
Got us over here repeating stuff, man. Get out of here.
Okay, so Crispy says that my fear is school shootings, and I can't speak to all school, but I'll tell you this: our CSO, our school resource officer, one, their car has no lights or sirens on it, so they were removed. Two, they're not allowed to bring their weapon into the school. So if a school shooting happens,
they're not obligated to actually do anything if a shooting happens.
Yes, if a school shooting happens, they are another unauthorized individual, unarmed individual inside of the building. And again, as we said, they've been on the force 10 years. They ain't had no tactical training since that 6 weeks when they first got into the police force. So they ain't did nothing special in 10 years. So they are another individual in the school with your child. Yes, they may have their bulletproof vest on, provided the shooter don't shoot them in the head. So honestly, me having an unarmed police officer in the school doesn't make me less fearful of school shootings.
But Chantel, that's the point. Chantel, it's not that school districts don't want to pay. It's that school districts don't have the money to pay. And they have to make, principals have to make decisions. I've been on these committees. I've been on the budgeting committee. Principals have to make hard decisions. And it's not always about whether they want to pay. It's about what the budget says they can pay for.
So that's what,
again, when we talk about defunding the police, what we're talking about is they really should be, it just needs a different name, but we're really talking about reallocating the funds so that the police may or may not be needed in areas that they just not needed. Like a school we need more mental health professionals than we need police. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because a regular cop can respond to a crime at a school.
Right, and I think and El Teddy, your point is valid, because it also that changes district by district as well. Because in DC and DC, they are allowed to make arrests. Same thing in the county where I work in now, they're allowed to make arrests. But we don't have a dedicated resource officer at my school where I work now. We don't have one person that's just dedicated. But if the principal calls and there's a situation and they come into the building, we have a person that rotates. Like he's responsible for a couple of schools, and he rotates from school to school. But if he in the building and there's an incident, kids have been walked out in handcuffs.
When we first moved down here, there was an incident at one of the high schools down here. It's a high school. A fight broke out. They locked the kids in the cafeteria and pepper sprayed all the kids.
The kids that were locked in the cafeteria?
If the fight broke out in the cafeteria during lunchtime, they locked the doors and pepper sprayed everybody in there. 2 people were fighting, and you pepper sprayed 60 to 100 people. One girl had asthma, had a reaction to it, had to be taken to the hospital. How is that okay? Again, let's demilitarize the police and let's remove police out of the school systems, because that type of thinking, break the fight up. You don't pepper spray everybody. And then some kids got, I won't say trampled, but got stepped on, because when they started pepper spraying, kids tried to run. Some kids were knocked down, and then you were pushing to a door because the door didn't open. And now you're all piled up at a locked door. Why is that situation okay?
Right. And that's the thing. So again, El Teddy's, he's bringing information. The same thing is like, again, when we start talking about defunding, that is what they're really talking. And it's not just, I use the example of schools because that came across my timeline, because, I'm connected to a lot of school stuff on my professional Twitter, but that came across my timeline. But it's, again, they're talking about just taking the money that on the state level, the local level, the county level, whatever level whatever you want to call it, whatever level you're talking about, and taking some of the money out of what we give the police, because it's not salaries that they're buying. They are buying these, this equipment that they'll never fucking use. Like
a lot of the budget goes to the police, and it's like, all right, well, not only does, I guess, as we say, allocating tax money, it goes to the police, and it's like, all right, well, Because I asked the question, I'm like, where does all this money from like the speed cameras on? So where does that go again? Anybody know?
Well, like, I don't know, because they said that
we still didn't have enough money. So I'm like,
all I know is all them hundreds of dollars that I done gave DC for them damn camera tickets over the last couple of years. They say it's supposed to go to schools, but every year they say they got a budget crisis. So I'm trying to figure out where the fuck.
Where is the money? Where is the money? Where is it?
They collective in just DC alone on them cameras.
Because like one camera, it was on the news. It was like it got like 40,000 or something like that in a month, just because where it was, and there was no posting.
And we know they're not fixing potholes or repairing streets. We know that's not happening. They're not fixing potholes or repairing streets. So where is the money going?
They sure ain't. But it's supposed to go to the schools. But again, and I mean, we could get real technical. Maybe El Teddy, maybe that's a conversation we should have on the other channel when we could really break down the budgets and get real technical about how the money is allocated and what it looks like. Because again, it's about it trickling down to the classroom as well. And that's something that they're talking about in the chat. Also, you know, it's about not paying. I know in DC, we've had how many chancellors in the last 6 years in DC, and each one of them seems like they make more than the last. So again, and then whenever somebody quits or gets fired, we got to pay them out and we got to hire somebody new. So some of it is also about mismanagement of the funds that they get. But that's another conversation. When we talk about defunding, I don't want to get sidetracked on that because there's some other issues as well. But I do think we need to come up with another word. I think this is, again, a situation where the Democrats allow themselves to get caught up in minutia because that's just the wrong language. I just think that's the wrong language.
Yeah,
because it really takes away from, there's a valid movement, and I think that word defund takes away from the validity. I just agree, Crispies, agreed. And Reese's Species, she's one of my DC folk, and she actually works at St. Elizabeth. And those of you, I ain't telling too much of your business, Reese's Species. You've told us that you work, and those of you in DC know that, you know, St. Elizabeth is the mental hospital, and so she said it ain't trickling down to mental health in her job.
St. E's is legendary.
Yeah, St. E's. Well, it's historical. I mean, it's.
I thought it was closed down.
Don't make me get historical on y'all. But yeah, so we've been here for an hour and a half. I thank everybody for their time. I'm gonna give everybody last words. I'll start with our guests. Thank you, Ghost, for joining us. I invited you because I know you've been out on the front lines, and I knew you had a voice to lend. So, any final words, thoughts, comments, criticisms, middle fingers?
I would just say that the fight is not over, even though they are making changes. And like you said, we have to get them to make the changes that we want. So we all have to continue this movement beyond the next few weeks or next few months. This is something that's going to go on for the rest of our lives. I'm sure if any of you asked your parents, you know, what they were doing in the 60s, would they think this would still be going on in 2020? I don't know what they would have said, but my opinion is it's going to be going on long after I'm gone, because I just don't see it happening anytime soon where there's this massive change of acceptance of Black people. So basically, everyone stay strong and continue to fight.
All right. Will, Face, sorry.
I'm gonna say this. Just pay attention to yourself and what's happening around you, and just be ready on your own end. I know me got an army. I might have to borrow something.
And we are starting the Mink Bail Fund. So, you know, if y'all want to donate to the Mink Bail Fund, we are taking up a collection. Why? Because we just don't know if she gonna get picked up or not. You know what I'm saying? And big march. They are having the big march on Washington, August the 24th.
28th.
I'm sorry. August the 28th here in DC. So those of you who are local, but if you are not local and you're interested in coming, you may want to go on and start getting your hotel and stuff straight now, because, you know, all the Black people
about to go up.
And I'm sure if I know my people the way I know my people, they're gonna turn it into a whole weekend event. There's gonna be symposiums and workshops and pop-up shops and all kinds of shit. That's gonna be happening. But just if you have not heard, just to put that word out, that there is gonna be a grand march on August the 28th. Here
it's the anniversary
on the mall. Huh?
Yeah, it's the anniversary. It's on the anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech.
Yes, the anniversary of the, wait a minute. Chantel said I'll donate because Mink and Angry Man might need it. See, you know us. Because if Mink is there and then Angry Man ain't too far behind, and that's not gonna be a good look. It's not gonna be a good look. Mink, any final word? Any final word?
You know, I'll say this. In all honesty, we need to really look out and look at each other. You know, when you see a Black person walk past, look them in their face, see if they're okay. Check your surroundings. Definitely look out for each other for one. Everybody has a place in this movement. If you're not a protester, we respect that. We love it. We do it. Like I went down to the protest last week. You had people who were giving out free water. They were giving out one group was down there giving out free sandwiches. Like the guy who let the people in his house. I'm not asking anybody to put their life or their livelihood on the line. That's not who and what you are. But don't let this movement pass you by. You know, don't stand by and think I can't do anything. You absolutely can. Even if you know more than relay a message. You know, do that. Do everything. You do what you can, what you're comfortable with. But don't let this movement pass you, because I don't want to live in the future that Ghost is saying, where we're dead and gone. We're still protesting, still asking for the same thing. We need to stop asking.
Still asking for the right to be Black all day.
Yes, and don't give up. If we get justice for Floyd, we get justice for Breonna. There's a whole list of people. I took part of my start was I was posting I start out every hour, every half hour, every 15 minutes, the names of people who were murdered by police in the last couple of years. And it took me 3 days to get through the list.
Yeah, it was about every 15 minutes.
Yeah, so it's like we can't stop. Don't allow, because we get one small fraction in a small battle. The war is not won.
Like, because even if these cops go to jail, it's not over. Like, there's still more.
It's not over.
There's more on the list. There's more on the list.
It absolutely, protest is not easy. It's not comfort. Don't expect it to be.
Until your interest rate is the same as everybody else's, it ain't over.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. My final word is to white America. Stop talking and listen. Yes. Just stop. You know, when you have a conversation with somebody and they're already ready to answer you before, and I'm guilty of this. They're already ready to answer before you finish. That means they're not listening. Shut up. So what I need white America to listen. Like I was saying earlier about white privilege versus abusing white privilege. Don't tell me white privilege doesn't exist. You can tell me that you don't think you abuse it, but don't tell me it doesn't exist, because it does. And I need you to listen. Thanks, Miss Bless. I need you to listen. You know what I'm saying? And so I just I say to white America, listen to the voices, because everybody ain't lying. Everybody ain't lying.
Listen to the voices, not the voices in your head.
I don't care how liberal you think you are. I don't care how down you think you are. I don't care how many Black friends you have. I just need you to listen to what we're saying.
How you believe in Elvis and don't believe in white privilege? That's all I'm trying to figure out.
If you counted your Black friends, let's start there. We don't count our friends. We have friends. We don't say, I have 4 Black friends and 2 white friends. If you're counting how many Black friends you have, like there's a limit number you can have.
It's not spades.
It's not spades.
Right. I got 3 in a box.
I got 2 Black friends and a Chinese friend.
Right. Yeah. And Lady Steph, that's what hopefully we can get to the point where you don't have to feel that anxiety when your boys leave out the house, when they don't have to fearful. Like that's the goal. That is what we want. And that's why I said changing the Band-Aid, and I keep using Band-Aids because that's the first thing on my mind, but that's not the goal. Is that we feel safe, that our children feel safe, and that we are not, like, we should not be afraid of the police. We should have a fear of the police if we're doing something wrong, but not a fear of the police just period because they exist. You know what I'm saying?
I'm getting pulled over speeding, but I might die.
Right. Like when a police car is behind me, and as a woman, we keep talking about Black men, but as a woman, I should not automatically start sweating and my heart rate speed up because there's a cop behind me. Like, it just shouldn't be the you know what I'm saying, whether I'm speeding or not, like that should not be my reality, you know. And so we don't Krispies, we don't even have time for that. We don't. Mink will be here for another.
No, let me tell you, look,
God damn it,
Roger Goodell, I'm not even gonna get that list. Fuck them. Fuck the horse they rode in on. Fuck their mama for giving birth to them. Fuck their horse's mom for giving birth to their horse. Fuck the motherfucker that planted the grass so the horse can eat. Fuck all y'all. They can get it. And you can tell Candace to add me however she want. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. Fuck her. She can get it. And she want it. She can come get it. 8 to 80. I ain't got no rules. Ain't no laws. 8 to 80. Point blank and simple. And I want a shirt that says I said what I said. Hashtag 8 to 80. However you want it.
Nigga.
And on that note, thank you for the super chat, Danny. I appreciate the love. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys who joined us on the happy hour. We're going to try to do that more often, bring a little bit of laughter and smiling in between the mess and everything else. Yes. Be safe.
There's a party coming up. I got details when I have them.
June 19th, next Friday. Friday coming up. It's y'all need to put y'all leave slips in. Call in sick, call in Black PSD, whatever you got to do. June 19th is out there.
Nike declared it a holiday and they gave everybody the day off.
Yeah, but just on that note, I'm supposed to be DJing a party that's happening all day on the 19th.
Is it online?
Right. It's gonna be online, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna make sure we're gonna give me all the information and I'll make sure I'll drop it every time I
go on that Zoom now and figure out what the hell we're gonna do and how we doing it. But
okay, yeah. Oh, that's right. You gotta get off. Okay. Thank you guys for coming through. We gotta jump off now. I appreciate the love. Last comment. What's up?
If anybody got any connection to the NFL, I have a marvelous protest that I want to get to them, but I want it to be an underground thing. I don't want nobody to see it. So we just talk about that. I got a protest for the NFL players. It's peaceful. It's a peaceful one. But
they got to do peaceful protest before. Remember how that worked out?
This a little different. Everybody got to be in it, but I got one for them.
Thank y'all for coming through. Peace.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Look out for one another.